Alright, today we're going to take a look at how to change a starter on an outboard motor. Now, one of the things that's going to happen if you don't use your boat that often, or a period of time passes between usages, is that things are going to break from disuse. And I guess I'm kind of lucky that the starter went out in the driveway as opposed to out on the water. It's always been a concern of mine. It's a relatively easy part to change on the boat. It can probably even be done while you're out at sea. But you know, just have to have an extra starter. So since I ordered a starter, I went ahead and ordered two in slightly different boxes. I'm going to keep the one box in the smaller box as a spare and store it on the boat. There's only 3 or 4 bolts and a power connection that we have to deal with. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that now. Alright, first thing we're going to do is verify that we have the right part. Turn the motor a little bit to get a better view. Hold it up. Looks like we have a spot for the ground connection, spot for the hot connection, 2 top mounting bolts, 2 bottom. So everything looks right. And I see a little bit of rust on the bottom of this starter. Probably that led to the downfall of some of the internal components. Now, first thing you need to do for safety is disconnect the battery. So you don't want to end up shorting something out. I've already done that, so there's no power to this. So we're going to disconnect the 2 power leads first. There's 2 7/16 bolts, and then the other 4 bolts are 1/2 inch. Here you can see more of a close-up of the starter. You see it's exposed. It's actually very dangerous on this model. Even with the motor running, the flywheel is out in the open. It's interesting though that you can see all the components underneath it. And the starter butts up right to the flywheel gear. Alright, so we're going to start taking it apart. Even though that positive cable is turned off, I'm still going to exercise some caution with it. I'm going to make a mental note that these 3 wires are connected to the ground, and the only thing going to the positive terminal is the red lead. And be careful here with these screws and washers, because we're going to have to reuse that on the new starter. Incidentally, that starter that I got from Spider Marine is not remanufactured. It's new. It's very, what I would consider a good price. For simplicity's sake, I'm gonna put the 2 top ones on the deck together so that I know that they were the top bolts. Yep, and there's a difference between the top and the bottom. So I feel like I was just working in this area in a previous video, changing the fuel pump. Alright, and there we go. Not too complicated. Installation is just the reverse of that. Make sure I don't crimp any of these wires. I'm a big fan of starting all my bolts by hand to minimize the likelihood of stripping things out. Something I did want to do before I installed it was grease the starter drive. Do that, so have to stick our finger up in there in a minute. Get a little bit of grease. All right, put a little grease on there. Right inside the nose cone where the gear is. It would have been much easier to do, and I remembered to do it previously. Just gonna put our electrical connections back on, starting with the ground wire. Tight, but tight enough. Meaning positive connector. Normally I would maybe sand up this contact a little bit, make sure I have good contact, but it doesn't look too bad. Alright, connection's tight. Strips are tight. If everything goes right, that should spin. So now just imagine that I'm actually hooking up the wires again to the battery that I told you I disconnected. We're just going to give the key a little quick crank to see if we solve our problem. And in fact, we have. Well, that grease splattered all over. But that's what we intended. So, surprise, surprise, changing a starter on Outboard can be easy, fast, and more than likely done out on the water. If you imagine the engine tilted in an upright fashion, you would easily be able to access all that right there. All right. So that's all there really is to it. And appreciate you watching the video. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them below. You can also check out our sponsor. There's usually an advertisement up in the corner of the screen or across the video. That helps us out. A lot of valuable products there. Might even be related to something that you were searching for. So thanks again for watching, and I hope you find this video useful.